Zayang Iowa Taldugri, Tape, that tumor Talvati, that Nivati, Ribaniva the Titan Gores, or that Tangone, someone Tangor around to some Tangware, onum, they must be Kaji Jamden the Shake condition, then she's Sumani, soon the Pagi Chazan in you. 다 센데스베니 소나진데 쾌기 징에 가설 바센딩이라 잠든주 제르 소는데 데코나니라 바파 데코니라 파파 데코나니라 바파자데 두스치네 림바치네 소노도 같이 궁문에 돈이 샌들 땡진 대원주와 돈야 떤달라 탑람라 이네베 두스치네 소노가 갑둘라 코나 샌들 말랍나야 무슨 샌들 매나야 이 고야기 탑람라 순샤교 근데 인데 땅원에 샌들 터바스인데 자 전부 시부지래 가보래 여름부시 이 순두간라 레라보 시부지 순구도 아니 저 겸거는 뭐지 아니 순데 딘상 가들 가랭이냐데 샌들 터바스인데 순도아 되게 옛날 빼 미도 야보여레스 아니 준주 저 여름부시 인지 돌려 규리샤교 배 도아 어떻게 수트 니행게나 수수 펜보용도 내 그뒤는 년디 그뒤 오늘 겸거는 뭐지 손도 투모 많이 버지래 양배 고야라 아니 이 오늘 카보 인자 에 가서래 좀 된데게 센다진 딩게 말씀 좀 해셔라 바로 제 마키 민가는 거 오니 소소나리 이치지와 뒤숨 야게 юмser 송도아 가르잖아 코 소소 고그에 난다 고아 나신지 간에 랍투야 메게 저투야 메게 아니 된지 용구에 인삼 말씀 좀 해서 송도아 간지 삼로 가보 거기어디 간에 빼 내세게나 짭투야 가보 있는지 된지 인도가라 진전에 간지 겸거는 뭐지 숭년 도스전에 소소 이 고알렌투지 용구에 난데 뺀미스비 아버리스 때는 꽤 쳐버려 다 니바다 망보 탈와니스 다붕 남이 타데 메징지 이나 가자레레라 풍보 투마여바 딸 가자 투마여바 뉴징 티니 풍보 지남 지두규르데스 어다 도쳐데 아니 야니 마 가자 암가 지마다 요마로 되나지 풍보암 야니 지도 탈도 그래스 야니 아니베 풍봉아에 전다다 망보 탈도 그래서 어다데 탈바다 가제티 용사 zember zapungi zember to bichi ina 탈바티 기tin 주고 와래 어다 zember to bichi 마라와 타바타즈고 이나 스고 타바타즈는 가르쳐 와래 마레데 키시 이나 스고 타 인규때 zember to 요 마르데 किसी टुना निंदी ने थालवातिन जुगुरी जे सुंग 거라 어때리 가자치 다여메 지기 임비치르 되니 미롱데 주발레 갈때 풍부 따나 때치데 마웨 자데 따장 몽본주루 예수 사와다 어다 두스레 가제 가자 zember 줍세된 무슨 거야 개침버리 무인 진선은 배 잡으니 zember 비치나 왔다 여기 공기 에네베 탈바테단 디체 네 지마 다 켄지주도 탈베 사와트다 지니 숨바데 용구로 와 왔다티 두스레 때 인도가랑 오네 디 네네 네 쳔버레 가보네 가보시부지레 레라보지다 땐자와니는 말에 양 나랑을 꾸기면서 가보르데 대엘라게메 나마고 그 미진달라 라모 인데는 칸데 기레 이 디리테 디 자웨고네 오네 가보레 나랑주 머리 발라 콤바투 쳔버레 슈 쳔버레 로툴와라 슈 쳔버 콤바요레 로튼둘로 콤바요 마레 로튼둘로 콤바메 킹기 나랑주 첸디에네베 비킬라 뚜 카고도와 가르네 첸디 비키테 레와다 키보세데 셈기지데 게웨치 툼나마도 tutuwa mare telanga so kompa yo mare 유로 콤바 메디컬은 디부데키 지니뇨야 코라요 말 오다 미국의 동안 주 들라 가서 뱃 감감 슈슈인 줄 걸로 꼼베 왕기래 지수강가 로꼼베 왕기 오다 로꼼베 왕기 미국을 텐디지 주 레라보 차기에나 가서 꼼으로 주다 거기처럼 주 대가나지 라보 차그래 딩가서 갱제 톱에도 랍투야지 포바진을 랍쳐야지 띵두가라 로꼼베 저게저라 꼼지 당보야 가보용 그래 kalе komgi le laru gese keta mandroere ti chik muni nyoe thono tup thuye chagores wata tin du kala i yundu ngaso lok gawe cholo komdi tengo de ne chembores kanji ani zo ti yongala so popa gore o ti ne chi tubgere ngen jungere ngen nyugere samso popa ta shibuj ke chembore 포바 간디시 포바지 조이나 자와텔린 주바이나 강알라 돈렌체 투그레 강알라네 페 강알도 몬투 마레 강알라 돈렌체도 강알라 돈렌체 투이나 대왕게 디부텔라 만다지 푸드 좋아지 계속해서 봐요 그래스
Sort of continue with the other resources that should be helpful for you to understand this section of the text. In this book, The Praise for Dependent Relativity, Tsongkhapa says that in kind of appreciation to Buddha, whatever you are taught. Everything is basically kind of based upon or derivation upon this dependent origination concept, and so being difficult, using other resources such as commentary or teachings by His Holiness, even though these concepts are difficult, but when you listen to His Holiness teachings, there's a uniqueness in his kind of skill, able to really kind of unassemble complicated philosophical concepts into a very simple way, and that makes us for us to really kind of easy to understand. And so listening to those, because His Holiness has a commentary and teachings on many of books, including Praise for Dependent Relativity and Shantideva's book, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And Kishara said he is in his spare time, he used to listen to lots of His Holiness teachings, audio or video, and you can do the same thing. And definitely those would be helpful in further kind of understanding these complicated philosophical concepts here. The level of difficulties we find in the expressions of Buddha's own son, Rahula, that he used this expression of beyond imagination, beyond expression of words, referring to this understanding of emptiness, transcendental wisdom. So here, difficulty in a sense that Geshe-la was saying that he's not saying it's only kind of difficult to him, because that is really kind of limited. Something difficult to him doesn't necessarily means that it is difficult for everybody. Something difficult for him would be easy for some other people, but difficult in a sense that it is considered as difficult in general Buddhist understanding, philosophical understanding, the concept itself, this selflessness or emptiness or dependent arising. So here now, the reason, one of the reason here why it is difficult for us and we said this many times before, because of lack of familiarity with this kind of concept for us, or in our kind of way of life, we are not familiar. We are not used to, this kind of meaningful understanding of how things are. We are not used to that kind of knowledge or understanding or system or structure of knowledge. Rather, we are much more used to easily kind of acquiring, getting familiar with distorted view, And so for that, we talked many times before, even just attaining happiness and goodness of this life is not something easy for all of us. We need to make a lot of effort to make that happen. But on the other hand, when we talk about creations of negative activities, destructive or problems, or being kind of mean, harming others, doesn't require any learning and studying. It comes so easily, so systematically, so kind of refined way, and because we have been used to that kind of say tendency, maybe in the past life. And so the point here is that when we can become so well in kind of through familiarity with negativities, or we can do exactly the same to the opposite of that negativity, that is negativity, that is positivity, in kind of making ourselves familiar with understanding reality, the meaningful ways of how things exist. And here what is important is kind of self-confident, if I use that word, self-confidence, that I can do this and I have the ability, or this is within my reach. That kind of self-confidence is really kind of important and needed. And with that kind of self-confidence comes kind of your energy, or your kind of ability to take a challenge. And when you accept that challenge and go into that kind of a challenging kind of then definitely there would be a totally different end result, instead of just kind of making yourself discouraged and not kind of giving up from the very beginning, even not kind of starting the journey. Coming back to the book, page 124, the second fallacy or second contradiction, if the last paragraph, the consequence of the selves being many. The second fallacy, if the self and aggregates are of one nature. Again, when we say if the self and aggregate are of one nature, what it is really saying here is that if means it is not reality, but we use an expression in Tibetan. Maybe I can say that hypothetically, if that is the reality, although it is not reality. But if self and aggregates are inherently, truly one entity, then there are lots of problems, logical complications, contradictions, and that's what it's saying here. The second the fallacy, if the self and aggregates are one nature, the second fallacy is that there would be consequently be many selves. Just like there are many aggregates, within ourselves, there could be many self, which in reality is there's not many self, there's only one self. And if you look from the reverse sides, since there's only one self, then there should be only one aggregate, but that is not the case. There are many aggregates. If the self and aggregates were undifferentiably and indistinguishably one, since everyone has many aggregates, the person would have many selves. Otherwise, because the person is singular and inseparably one, or with the aggregates would become one. This is unacceptable. It is logically contradiction. Therefore, Chandrakriti supplement says, if the aggregates are self, since they are numerous, it follows that there will be also be many selves. So we'll stop here for if you have any questions. If you read, then we have to finish one section. So Geshe said, any questions you can ask if you have.
In the meditating practice,
Gom kor de lago so gom de nalo da sim nyabar she example demlu remba ji sha gor la ro dimbu me shi level me shi andi ge pe to sha da lo pe sha da kan ro
Tati nganazo gom le tangpo bala nge ching so de gopare gopate sem lo tani ani sem chulol thodu ko lo tani choy yulde depi yulnga kanchen docha chatro gopase ne docha charto dindigala nenge yulla thogo are dini 로 샘딩미 지다 하장 딤다나 지와세 벨레게 오래 지와세 레디가라 에니페 샘이 민나 마살레 용고로 바기 미테 강 미테 자바네 미테디 메직 살차이나 살청아르메 봐 살차 멘데게 에니페 데네 용고 오래 데라 지와 생디 지고 오래 띠요 띠니 에니페 지와도 진고니 왕도 마셔라 샘는 중도에 시선 dimlo tampo sin de gortate ngazo bebe fecha khashine pyong yore ta pyong de thapa damlo tito ta diwa ina guitar te chikpa chikena pyong de guitar ni ko khorege chi jungdra ma do thapa de hachang lapta na guitar te ke yabu mi do ani hachang dimdana yan ke yabu mi do ko dimlo tampo jina ke ran la kar go ate pe tata 진dimlo dichiwaina yongwara tena jinchene jinwe wangdo masho wope wangdo mashone sende mine mite de kama tungto shita ne baji gowa tateti di yongwala enipe shijingi chara shijinda tenpani pet teka ugugwara te tunjene womgi tunjeni de shijinda tenpani re galchende uni tangbur galchende sem lote pe wong galchende gopa sem hachang jintana tamtana jinwa se legore di yongdu gala ote chunda tini shuko
lawa for the beginners in meditation as many of you know we talk about the main obstacles are mental agitation and mental dullness. Mental agitation or excitement happens when there is too much relaxation, when mind is totally kind of distracted. There is mental agitation or excitement, and mental agitation or excitement is basically kind of it's an extension or it's a part of attachment. So your mind is running after one of those 5 objects of desire. That happens when mind is too relaxed, on the other hand, when you have concentration too strong, too kind of bringing mind inward, the other problem is mental laxity or mental dullness. Mind becomes, dull, kind of murky, lack of clarity. Even there is a clarity, but there is a lacking of, intensity of that clarity. So one need to kind of avoid both of these two, extreme relaxation on one hand and extreme kind of concentration on the other, able to maintain really kind of moderate with your mind fully alert, kind of fresh and focused on the whatever object of observation is. And traditionally or typically we find example of how to use string instrument and lute, and nowadays they're saying using of guitar, just to play it rightly, to have a good sound. You can make it too tight or string, or you can make it too loose. You need to tune in such a way that you get so it's exactly the same thing with tuning the mind, not too relaxed, not too tight. And so we usually called the supporting mental factor for this to make that kind of thing happen. You need to using of mental introspection and mindfulness are the two supporting tools or weapons that we use. While on the other hand, two obstacles, we are talking at the beginner's level. Two primary obstacles are agitation and dullness.
What a dusre. That in the gala, sem ogopale on the gala, that nabuchula coagaro in the gana, any croinimita, any chua mitapada. Tigit some tavaina, though so corala kishik leg, letting you more than the kish. Nimi some of the kishi lay attended some tavaina, sem to so cougar. And children met a pingera, sembato so martango war. What a chiwa letugala, any Janjuki sembi payenda, any rita, ticket on a sembaya kit to jaguar, those two sini pingers. So the tension, temper the shijin, thinking, then you ever gangla, do some tanda disundo, the nature. What the ticket? 카투라 가로우도 빼전에 세바나진 소수이 도시야데 시부지게 첨보래.
So using those two kind of supporting power, mental introspection and mindfulness. So when you encounter these two problems of mental agitation and mental dullness, depending on the level of practitioners, somebody who is very more familiar with the Buddhist understanding, when there's too much distraction of mind, too much exciting, mind scattering, wandering everywhere, the practitioners use, because at that time your mind is going everywhere, so kind of, hyper, active. You need to kind of bring the mind down. Calm down the mind, and for that purpose, intentionally, practitioners used to contemplate on, the sufferings, the defects of samsara, contemplate on impermanence, death and dying, all those reality, and that makes mind to kind of less hyperactive, and tends to kind of come back and be more calm, and so. What you need to do is kind of, mind being so hyperactive, you need to basically kind of make mind calm down. That's the whole point here. On the other hand, when your mind is too kind of dull, kind of, lacking clarity, or, this laxity, dullness, you need to kind of strengthen your mind, kind of boost the energy of the mind to make it more active, So for that, you need to contemplate, the practitioners again contemplate on the positive side of, of the mind, such as, bodhicitta, Buddha nature. When you think intentionally on those, it makes mind more active, more stronger. It kind of, re-energize the mind, and therefore, so it's a kind of bringing mind up when, it is slow, bringing it down when it's hyperactive. And but however, it depends on what is needed at that particular time, how to tune it according to the, text kind of instruction and guidance. And those are important to apply. Laura, you have a question?
You said something earlier about the continuity from, I think, from one lifetime to the next of, I guess it would be maybe subtle consciousness. So is the level of coarse consciousness kind of how we experience ourselves as an I or self? And so is the purpose of meditation to help us sort of be able to become aware of that more subtle level of consciousness?
Dengan gishal disang sa da kanda di tigalimba peche tanda da dunga digi da jigi gyun chamo jigi da kiawa dine kiawa chima ane sama jibu di chunga gyun chamo shtugo ro da go da nga zugi nam yugi ane jigi gom gyade zamlo gom digi toa nigi ane da chamo dime da rakwa di hakwe la uro ngo shen la uro dinze la pen toya la chugo ro alo da gom gi nyamlen toa ne da chamo dime nigi da rakwa shio ro 다라는 당 알아야돼. 다 같은 게 나타모지 그시라던 게 송소라도 나타모지 게 균 타모지 상마지부터 저대고로 딜라 다 요라 다 등에진 렌다고 딜라 다 요라 좀 고아들 랭고는 송소와서
되더래요.
Then the Tande Gomgiton and Azuki, Da, Nala, Rakbadi, the Tamomen, Rakbadi, Yodan Joro, Yodan, Ziche, the Ocean, and Gomgiton, Pento, or Gomgiton, Pent Kalong, Sage.
다 가르쳐 거라요. 간지 다 차라게 개버대 가르쳐 되가라. 배나 시바 땅 아주 시비 윤을 따바이나 시바데 왕보던 제용도 갈라 시바도 라주고 그래 왕보 매베 값게 왕보도 마템베 값라 간지 시시 참에 값이나 그런 에 시바 참모도 마도 문도 줄고 말해 그때 바기 14보지 제 전에 자라자야 가본도지 겸그름이 성도 왔대 인디가라 우마탄교 민경 따요 좀 세야 돼 시우지 내 첨벌에서 성도 아주 있나 따이디 겸그름이 성다 이치기로마다 비꼬았지만 지진지 렌트금도
The understanding of subtleties of self. One understanding is when we talk about this continuity of self or consciousness or mind. When self or I is strongly kind of based or related with a physical organ, or then that at that moment that consciousness is considered as a coarse, gross, but consciousness which is not dependent on any physical organ, it's considered as much more subtle, such as consciousness at the time of dying. Consciousness becomes extremely subtle, not kind of now relying upon any of the physical organs, but His Holiness says that is still not that subtle, and more subtler is this understanding of existence at the mere level of imputation and designation. That is much more. His Holiness says subtle. Although when he says that, it is for us, it's hard to make sense what he is saying when it says when he says it's much more subtle than even kind of 그래서 민간 따요 잠 다데 치식 달에 타를 쓴거 갈래.
민간 따요 잠기 다데 다 민간 따요 잠 시리가라 이다 참에 참으지다 자거들 이내 첨부를 수송도와 민간 따요 잠기 다지 자투나 이내 첨부를 수송도다 빠티 다 따다지 셈나 과데 맞으서는 차그미도 민간 따요 잠기 다 시리가라 세발라 말테버지 시비 단티 인기를 이마다 우마라기 받아서 민간 따요 잠기 다자 맞으네 시비균 타모들에 자고 중로와 이딱 뭐물로다 레벤 다와 잡아서 다 레벤 상기 장다 콘서 투모만 비sab게 차되어라 우마랑기베 나저주베 우마랑기 받는데 좀 우마랑기 받아 디주기 레벤 캐바도 자 맞고 근지 차되어라디 맞으니 진짜 가봐가다 가버려
when His Holiness says this, that subtle self, which actually comes from understanding of merely a designation or imputation. He is saying that it's hard for him to understand what that exactly means. And it is difficult in a sense that when we look at the four school of thoughts and how they interpret, who is self and where is I, even the second highest school within the middle way school, we categorize into two: highest being middle way consequent school and lower being middle way autonomy school. Within the middle way autonomy school, there are autonomy, sutra school, autonomy yogic school. So even the middle way autonomy school cannot posit the existence of this kind of subtle self. So therefore, they use, continuity of consciousness as the basis or as the foundation or basically the self itself. When they say self or I, they refer to this, continuity of subtle consciousness. They cannot come up with that understanding of, what we are saying here. Merely, designation is the interpretation of the high school of thought. school of thought that is only understood and then explained by great masters such as Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, and his followers, and that cannot be even understood and accepted by even great scholars of middle way autonomy school.
더티기 곰디기 라라파티기 펜도 용구로 연구 말씀 거라. 그래서 계속해서만 펜도였는데 펜도면은 라라파티 옆에 갔다가 아주 로 콤팔레나 이 치시 참에 가다라 이온 단디 콤팔레 껴도 뒤뒤 지 온도 규리나 시우지 니바텐도 그래서 송도 치시 참에 가라 네베 상계 니베에데 단디 콤페스톱기 용기로 마도 단다 콤바메니네
So understanding of self, through practice of meditation is something, definitely happens, and without kind of making ourselves familiar or gaining that understanding of beginning with the gross level of self and then eventually going on to a subtle understanding of self, it definitely helps through meditation practice. And without that kind of meditational practice, or contemplative practice, one won't be able to recognize or identify, the subtle consciousness at the time of dying. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh. So you were referring to Chittamatra, with the continuity of the mental.
Not Chittamatra. It's Chittamatra is mind-only school, third school. When I said middle way autonomy school, that's the middle way high school, but within the middle way school there's two schools, generally sub-school. Middle way autonomy is second, the highest it's consequent school. So it's still middle way school, not mind-only school.
So it's Madhyamika and then what?
Madhyamika, the highest is Madhyamika, yeah, highest is Prasangika is highest, and Madhyamika Sotantrika.
thank you, Lobantikitela. 융춤의 우마르게 아레스 이 융춤의 우마파 르벤데 수드랑 곰불루주 다와타파 상예짱 와다티기티 융춤의 우마바레.
So we usually say great great field of great text or great scholars of Madhyamika. That refers usually to the holders of the middle way Prasangika school, such as Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, Buddha Palita, and those are higher, even higher than the middle way autonomy school.
Don't the different schools, the Shravaka, the Chittamatra, and the Madhyamaka, don't those different schools have realizations that sort of build on each other? Shravaka's realization of non-self, and then the Chittamatra's realization that mind and matter are not essentially different, that there's the continuity between the two, and then the Prasangika Madhyamaka realizations of direct perception, like yogic direct perception of emptiness.
Drupda shiki tichidisam dadi Drodan di chena da drupda oma omege tawa digi thone koma kome tawa nigi orwalo ta chwa di kwa.
Ti oma omel tawa dorn tuma koma kamal jya de sungara.
So they're saying that yes, that is right, but however when you go and from one lower to higher school, through understanding you give up the understanding of lower school for the understanding of higher school. So that's how usually that is. So as you go up higher, you become non-lower school and become a holder of higher and higher. So
간지 우마탕기를 따와지 마도 발라 다 송이 가서 그래. 송이 지마 지진도에 가보인 사람.
So
인디갈라다 타르투나 직 가서 취기 부모 기리시동 가서 숨어대 송이 또왜 탑람로 숨으래 세야 되다 세디갈라 다 가르고 구두스나 타르투를 따와대 젬바 고베 온거 숨체를 따와 오마데 고베 원기 간사데 고베 원기 순샤 교지 임발라 타와 터도도 우마던 교회 타와도 임바데 띠고고 띠도에 탑람 배고에데 차고다 인규.
So here, although we find in Buddhism the teachings of 84,000 heaps of teaching, different school of thoughts, but in real kind of sense, it is, there is no way to understand emptiness without understanding the school of middle way, Prasangika school, consequent school. So it seems to be saying here, the point is that one needs to understand middle way consequence, philosophy, and all other are basically taught according to the necessity rather than for the ultimate purposes.
Ngetenzu jila parjin kap tambe thaje nana umel tawan karta tupta umel tawan dorwetang komel taw komalan juba tinyam zare tendichi tengidu tenzu tela tindikala sensambel tawan dorda ta pai umarangi pa ta najo juba umarangi bel tawanye pa pacher tinyamje najo juba umarangi bel tawan dorda tini dorda ani mincha tayo samje ni be 동일에 로가초 언데가라 탱규를 따왔네요 야 왔다 두스지니 근데 땡기도 다디 땡땡이 이놈이나 배잘타는 마다 디마라가 땡디지 땡기도.
So although he said he's not sure, but he remember at the beginning of the the documents, the text of the perfection of wisdom or transcendental wisdom, it talks about giving up abandonment and engaging happens at the same time. In terms of going through 4 schools of philosophical tenets, for example, when practitioners gave up, middle way autonomy, yogic middle way autonomy school, that's the highest within the autonomy middle way school, gave up. At that time, same moment, it happens, the attaining of the understanding of middle way consequent schools, philosophy. That happens at the same time. He said he it's not exactly sure, but as far as his remembrance, he remembered this. Yeah, last question.
Doesn't it help to develop a correct understanding too of the 12 links of dependent origination to get to the right view, to know how it works?
Tawa yang tawa nyela tende yang la jungi thogi ko kalore tende yang la jungi gi gyune la ore tende yang la jungi gi xiwa de tawa yang tawa toel pento ro elo.
Tati yang tawa nyebalada ngone tende yang la jungi gone korwalan jutsulde dichi ane tende yang la jungi lunjung gombala tene korwal dotar shigidwa dosulde 이 도줄데 두세 삼타와이나 가지 머리 빈년번 롱엔지 따와지 떠바이나 떠야라 핑그와 일단은 머리 빈년번 롱엔지 따와지 머리 바세다 머리 바다 탄다 몬삼게 머리 말마르다 리빈 갈다잉게 머리바 질달링키기 미율 나술다도 머루와 떠온데게 로티기 티토알 텐덴 펜다 용그루와 루중기 루도기 삼타와이나.
Definitely that can help. When we talk about 12 links of dependent origination, we have these 2 kind of sequences. First one is according to how a consciousness takes rebirth in cyclic existence. We usually call kind of proper sequence. Another one is the opposite sequence, the reverse way. When we say a reverse way, you actually kind of cease, beginning from the cycle of the ignorance. So when you cease or stop or destroy ignorance, what you are doing is you are applying the opposite of ignorance. That is, again, here we are not talking about merely ignorance of merely not knowing, rather we are talking more about ignorance which is exact opposite of the valid understanding. So for that, what you need is you need to understand the reality, definitely. So understanding of the reality that which is exact opposite to the appearance that we have of ordinary appearance. So of course that will definitely help to reach to the right point through the understanding of 12 links of dependent origination, the reverse way, not the proper general or regular way.
Yeah. Kari rawe
Kowe shingam se pendam dewa mali jongwe ne
Jere
zion
zion
tenzin kaso ishawe sije badu tenju ji
Jambo
kowe jidara kemba da
Kundo zambo te ante shinde te da
kungi jeso da
Rewa
Gyawa
de
dita
da
tamche rabdu ngo tisum shebe gyawa tamche gi ngowa kanga chodo nga ba Ajin gewe zawa digun gyo sambu chunji rabdu ngo wariki. In the land and circled by snow-white mountains, the source of all happiness and benefits flows in the person generously tends and gyasa remain at the samsara ends. Just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri attain omniscience and summoned the Bhatta too, so now I too dedicate these minutes to ran and follow in their footsteps. As all the victorious Buddhas of past, present, and future praise dedication to the Supreme, so now I do dedicate these source of my merit for all beings to perfect perfections.
Thank you.